Welcome back to Toast. Thank you for tuning in. This is the second episode of India. If you haven't listened to the first episode of India, I really suggest that you do because there's a lot said in that episode about like demonetization, kind of the special circumstances that I was in when I was in that trip of India that are kind of pertinent to this story. So if you haven't checked it out, just check it out. If not, thank you for coming back. Um, so I was talking about getting to Agra. Agra is where the Taj Mahal is, and I was playing badminton in the middle of the night with like random Indian guys, and everyone was just like so nice. And I think that that's kind of where my India trip kind of took like a turn for the worse, I guess. I was starting to be like pretty happy with everything that was happening in Agra. It was like, okay, well, at first I was a little scared, it was a little bit ghetto. Maybe the negative preconceptions of India were starting to sink in as a little bit deeper. And then when I got there, it started becoming like, India's fucking awesome. Everyone's just like over analyzing and being scared or whatever it was. Um, Finally, in the morning when we got out of the hotel room, or when in the morning actually while we were still in the hotel room, that's like when these samosas from the other episode that we ate were just really starting to kick in. Me and Jordan were sharing, we were like knocking on the door like, just get out of the bathroom, I need to go to the bathroom. So like that digestive system was completely shot down the drain. We were demolished. And it was pretty interesting because then we knew that, that day we had this whole excursion of going to see the Taj Mahal, and you don't want to rush it. And we didn't know at the time, but the Taj Mahal ended up being like 1,000 rupees, which is like $20, which with our budget, if you listen to last episode, was like $100 for the week was like our limit. That was as much as we could get out of the ATMs. Even if we tried another ATM, it just wouldn't let us. So it was wild. Um, to know that we had to spend like 20% of our budget right then and there. And it just started taking a turn for the worse because as soon as we got out, we waited for Guggen. He's Sikh, so that means he's never cut his hair. He put his hair in a turban, and he also like ties his beard up really tight so that he's able to, withstand the heat a little bit more because he has a long beard and it's India, it's really hot. And so like after, just kind of playing the beard and pooping tango that we were going through with the bathroom, we finally got out, and like the moment you're on the streets, you are this walking white target for all the Indians. And they're all just like, oh, we'll hold your bags for you. We're going to do this like storage service. And it's just like super weird, sounds super scammy. A lot of people were really coming like really close to us. And I know that like in East Asia and also in Southern Europe, like Italy or Spain, people don't have the same like conception of like personal space, like your bubble that you have around you that you don't want other people to kind of traverse and come too close unless you're like best friends or lovers or whatever it is. They don't have that conception, so they come really close. They maybe put their arm around you or whatever. And so you're like, I was very scared. I was like, man, are these guys trying to like get my phone or something? Like I was starting to like get on edge already at like, 10 in the morning or whatever it was. And then it got so much worse once we got to, the moment where we had to pay to get into the Taj Mahal. We realized how much it was, and it was like, oh shit. So Guggen was trying to convince them that I was Indian because I had this, travel beard going on, and he was like, yeah, just don't say anything. As long as you don't say anything, like maybe we'll be able to get you in. Um, Long story short, it didn't work, but we tried. It was pretty cool. There's this guy was just like interrogating me, and I just wasn't saying anything, and Guggen was answering everything, and I was just like, I would just nod, like nod yes and no or whatever. It was pretty interesting, and once we got into the Taj Mahal, it was awesome. We got to take all of these beautiful pictures. It's a great place, and I obviously suggest go see the Taj Mahal, right? Obviously. It was cool because you learn a lot of the history about it. You get to follow some tour groups. I took a really cool picture that hopefully I'll post there. There's a guy in the background doing the superhero pose, and he's really the star of the picture, even though like the pictures of me and the Taj Mahal. But that guy is definitely the star of the picture, and you get a little bit of that like China like feeling, where like people just stop you and want to take pictures. More of my other friend Jordan Derry because he's just like really tall and like Indians aren't, so they would just take pictures of us, stop us to take pictures, and it's a little bit endearing and a little bit annoying at the same time. Yada yada yada. And it was interesting because like the Taj Mahal is like $20 for us, but it's like less than $1 for Indians. So it was just crazy to think that I mean, it makes sense because foreigners should pay more, but like the discrepancy in how much is just like, I guess, a good homage or a good looking glass into like the discrepancy between what you see in India for the rich and poor, and how the middle class is not really like an existent thing. So that was kind of like what I felt. I just felt like, oh, you pay like the upper class price because you're a foreigner, and these guys just pay the lower class price because most likely they're not very well off, and every Indian wants to go see the Taj Mahal as much as anybody else in the world does. And anyways, once we like ended up leaving the Taj Mahal and we walked around, I ended up going to the Red Fort, which is another place in Agra that it sounds really nice, and I was like, Red Fort sounds great. And I went there, and Jordan didn't really want to come in. Guggen didn't want to come in. So I was like, okay, we'll just wait here for 45 minutes. I'm going to run around. I'm going to do the premise. I'm going to see as much as I can in the time that I have. And I really enjoyed it. I think that it's not really worth going, but it was very enjoyable because what you see is that like animals adapt to humans. And we already know that animals adapt to humans all the time. But in the Red Fort, there must be like a population of squirrels and birds that just live within it. And so all of these like little squirrels, I think that maybe they were chipmunks. Send a picture right there. Squirrels and chipmunks or whatever it was, and they're just so like cute, and they're coming close to you and trying to get food and whatever. And so I got a nice like experience of just like seeing them, getting close to them, getting nice pictures, talking to a few Indians while taking pictures and trying to get closer and telling them like, don't worry, like the chipmunk's not going to eat your shin off or something. Um, and while walking around the Red Fort, and this is for those of you who are just waiting for me to say something really bad about India, this is the moment. So yay, congratulations. I was turning corners and I was trying to find like the nooks and crannies where maybe I can get a picture of like the fort without people in it, or like I always try to get that picture where it looks like you're alone, but really there's a million Indians around you. And I turned the wrong corner, let's say, and some guy was squatting and he just took a dump right over the fucking ground that he was sitting on. And it like we made eye contact. It was fucking disgusting. And it's just like I can't unsee it. Like I'm looking at the camera right now, but know that I'm seeing this man just, emptying his bowels, and it was not a pretty sight. But look, it's important to know that yes, India is awesome, but there's also still some not so great and smelly truths about it. So it was a little bit stinky. I'm happy that I saw it. I'm happy that I experienced it. It stained and like burned a little image in my mind that I'm still picturing right now. But it's cool just to know that like yes, that stereotype is true, but for the rest of my trip, it never happened. So it's not like something that's an everyday thing. Don't go to India expecting to see it or trying to see it. I don't know why you'd want to do that, but maybe you're weird. Who knows? I don't judge you. What I'm trying to say is, these things are kind of a reality. There were no probably there were no usable toilets in the Red Fort. Luckily, Jordan and I had brought some like pills to help us with our situation. So even though we were kind of doing that whole thing in the morning, by the end of it, we were pretty good when we were walking around the Taj Mahal, Red Fort. I didn't have any issues. He didn't have any issues. So like, just travel prepared, especially if you're going to a place like India where you know that the food might upset your stomach quite a bit. Nonetheless, what ended up happening over there, which is going to transition into maybe my next episode or my next India week, because I still have a lot to talk about, especially just in the city of Jaipur, because I just think that was my favorite part of India, even though that was when I was alone. And the reason why I was alone is the reason I'm going to finish this episode off, which is at some point, Jordan had been traveling for way too long, and he had an important call that he was going to, start his business, and he needed to be there. His business that he's still running to this day, and he had been traveling for I think 3 months or something, so he was already gone for long enough, and he just needed to be there for a meeting. And it was kind of like the savior moment of my trip, mainly because what he did is he gave me all of his money. All of the money that he withdrew that he didn't spend, so maybe $50 of it at that point. I think we already spent half of it within 2 or 3 days, thanks to the Taj Mahal. And that really like gave me like a certain amount of freedom of budget that I could kind of be like a little bit more splurgy, like spending $20 a day instead of 10. And I didn't need to worry about like can I even afford this, like whatever it is, whether it was a souvenir or just like a snack on the street that I just wanted to try, or going to the Gandhi Museum. Whatever it was, it allowed me a lot of freedom to enjoy Jaipur, which is my favorite part of India, because I mean, it sucked because my friend abandoned me, right? He left and I was alone in India, demonetized. Everyone was freaking out. There's ATM lines everywhere. I was going to leave Guggen, so he wasn't going to come to Jaipur with me. He had, life in Delhi to deal with. And it kind of just like it was that moment where India became a little bit of like a wild card towards like, okay, I'm super excited again. I've got like the energy. I saw a guy shit like on the floor. I got the food poisoning. I got like all of the experiences. I got the good thing, right? I got to see the Taj Mahal, and I got the bad things, which were the food poisoning and burning an image in my mind. And all of those were kind of like those boxes you want to check for some reason. And as a traveler, and I know that you know it because if you're watching this and you're still, you made it this far, it's sometimes we go to countries with like ideas that we want to check all of the boxes. And if we don't, then we have a little bit of regret. So I'm really happy that I got to check those hypothetical boxes before moving forward with my trip, the solo portion of my trip. And it was really cool because for me, that like it just gave me a whole degree of freedom. And so next time that I'm going to mention India, I'm going to do an India week. I have two great stories, one in Jaipur and one in Delhi when I went back without Jordan. Just amazing country to go to. I know that it really sucks that I didn't go down to Goa or the coast, the southern coast. Many people enjoy those areas of India a lot more than the Golden Triangle, and I will go back, and I really, want to see the different areas, not just the big tourist attractions. But I just want to say thank you again for tuning into Toast. If you made it this far, that means you're one of my top 10 listeners or whatever it is. I'm really happy to make these podcasts for you. Just let me know what you think. If you have also suggestions for, next countries, I've pre-recorded this one, but I'm probably going to go a little bit of a break because I have a lot of episodes to release before I do this. So, if you have any suggestions, comment below. Tell me what country do you want me to talk about, because most likely I've been there. So if you want stories about Japan, China, whatever it is, fucking Colombia, Peru, like I've got them. You just need to tell me that that's what you want, and I'll bring it. So thank you for finding value in what I'm bringing you guys. I'm having a lot of fun, and if you guys are still in quarantine, stay safe. Make sure that you guys are developing some hobbies or making some videos or whatever it is. Just have a good time, stay safe, and, yeah, toast out, guys.